One of the most extraordinary skills I've ever experienced is when somebody can pull me in with a fun, crafty story, especially when we're in a series of talks and workshops and somebody's just got me riveted to the stage. Well, our guest today is a real pro in the area of helping you craft not only really compelling and extraordinary stories, but stories that get people to get into action and to really remember who you are as a speaker, entrepreneur, or business owner, whatever your walk of life is. The ability to really take humor and storytelling to the next level is something we could all take a hint from our guest today. Hi, I'm Melanie Benson and I'm America's leading small business optimizer. This weekly podcast series is here to help you take away little nuggets of wisdom and extraordinary strategies that can help you leap your business to the next level. And I have a firm belief that when you learn a small little strategy, or what we like to call a game changer, and you put it into action in your business, you can find ways to make your business perform 100 times better without adding a lot of extra work. So get ready for another really, really extraordinary guest. Let me introduce you to Carla Rieger. And Carla activates visionary creative leaders to bring their message out to the world in a way that sticks through live and online presentations. And I just have to say, I know she's very active in NSA, National Speakers Association, and she's also one of the people who I met through Women's Speakers Association, which is an organization we both belong to. And I have been so blown away by Carla and the way she commands the stage and how she rivets people with these extraordinary stories. So I was like, you have to come share some of your beautiful wisdom with our audience here. So Carla, thanks so much for agreeing to come on. You've been on this massive, beautiful, fun tour of the world and the sunny spots, as you like to say.
That's right. Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, stories are one of those things that make you go viral, right? Yeah. I'm sure you've noticed that as a speaker, right? People go, oh, yeah, I saw you speak. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name or your topic, but that story you told about the river rafting, I told like all my friends about that. And
yeah.
And then so you can get that well-crafted story. It's a game changer, as you say.
It is. And I had people tell me over the years, I've been doing this for 14 years. I know you've been in this for a long time. I have had people literally come up years later and say, hey, you remember when you told that story about this or that on a stage or in a webinar? And this has stuck with me forever. It was kind of like my mantra. I'm like, great, perfect. That's what we want. We want to leave people with some kind of wisdom that keeps them in action, right?
Right. And stories have that way of filtering past people's judgments and fears and going into that deep core place where they need to shift at a big mindset level.
Yeah. So, Carla, before we dig in, I'm really curious, have you always been a speaker, or did you have something that got you to the point where you knew speaking was the next version of you?
Mostly I've spent my entire adult life being a speaker, only because I got hired when I was a university student to do an event called Playfair, which was about, it's like this large group icebreaker event you do for college students. And so they wanted a college student to do it. And so I had to stand up in front of like 1,000 18-year-olds and make them play, sit on your lap games and find 5 people born in the same month of the year as you were and that kind of stuff. And it was fun, but it was hard, speaking to 18-year-olds and making them do really silly things on the first day of campus.
I can imagine. I would have been terrified.
That's right. Yeah, they're freaked out. It's like, you want me to do what? And so it was like a make or break. Especially in my first professional speaking engagement was in Manhattan on the hottest day of the year in front of 1,400 freshmen. And they had to be in my presentation. So you know what it's like when people have to be at your presentation.
Yep.
It's a different kind of prisoner energy.
A little bit of this energy.
Yeah, so they were all sitting there. They're like really hot because there's no air conditioning. And I was trying to get them to run around and give a high five to everyone born in the same month as you.
Oh.
Nothing.
Oh,
anything. It was like, okay, and then it just didn't go well, and I didn't have a proper mic. And anyways, I had to do like 12 more of them the next week, and so I had to get progressively better every day because 18-year-olds will tell you when they don't like something. So it's not like adults where we'll politely listen even though we don't like what's going on.
Yeah.
So it made me have to get good fast.
Yeah, like many of us, you get thrown into the fire, you have to figure it out quick, or you die.
Yeah, it was do or die. I was seriously wanting to fly home after the first one, and then I just thought that they'd already booked my flights and all the hotels and the venues, and I just thought I can't do that to them. So figured it out.
We are all glad you figured it out, and on the other side became an extraordinary mentor and teacher to light up the room of millions and millions and millions of rooms all over the planet. You're having a hand in helping people find that confidence on stage. So I'm kind of curious, since you do mentor so many people in the field of speaking, what is the core challenge that they're facing?
I think the core challenge is always, and I didn't realize this when I first went in, but the core challenge, you probably relate to this too, is what am I really talking about, and to whom am I giving this message? Like, what problem am I really solving? Like that ends up being a big one. And so I always feel like your stories have to like dive right into the heart of that. And sometimes it takes a while to figure that out. Like, what are you really solving in your unique way, right? That's different from other people.
Yeah. And we've all heard the saying that fear of public speaking is the biggest fear next to the fear of death. So, when somebody is not clear what their message is, how does it affect their ability to take the stage and to do, whatever they want to do? And I guess let me ask you a question. In the range of people you serve, are you just focused on speakers who make a living as a speaker, or are you finding there's a lot of people who are using speaking to help grow their business now?
I do both. I take speakers who want to go to the next level, but then I take people who are like, I like speaking, and when I speak, I notice my business goes up, but I'm not like focusing that as a marketing tool as much as I could. I'd like to do that more. So that's the kind of person I focus on. Because, of course, as you and I both know, it's just such a quick and efficient way to market yourself. And you get seen as an authority in your niche in a way that someone who doesn't speak isn't as much.
Yeah. And so especially if you're using this to grow your business and you don't have your message down, there could definitely be some issues with what happens in that talk.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've all seen people's talks that are sort of like, at the end, you don't really know what they do or why they do it or what you got out of it. Because it takes a lot of work to really polish the diamond of who you are and what you're about and who you serve. And most people, they don't take the time and energy to do that.
Yeah.
They get a speaking engagement and they go, oh, great. And then say the night before, well, I guess we should pull something together, And then they're like up all night going, oh my God. And then they feel anxious the next day because they didn't really put their full self into it, right?
Well, yeah. And it's like, even though you're the speaker, if you're using that speaking event to market yourself, in essence, this is money on the table. So I would think we would all want to really cultivate a way to command attention and to really take people on a journey, which ultimately results in them taking action of some kind. So what are a couple of your favorite strategies to help people really like take their game to the next level?
Well, I always figure the signature story that is, I call it your mission story, where you're telling people why you do what you do and tying that into the solution that you give to people. And if you get a really strong story like that, then I think you really can captivate people. And a lot of people forget to do that. They might have a story or two, but they're not actually saying why. Why, of all the things I could be doing and talking about, why am I talking about this? Why is this so important? People like to know that. And if you can kind of bring forth, like I care. Like for me, for example, mine is, I really help a lot of women speakers because for years, I mean, I started, and you could probably relate to this too. I mean, I started out, and I would be like the only woman speaker at a conference. And there'd be like way more women in the audience. And I would get turned down for the men speakers a lot more. And the men would all be getting paid more than me. And I was just like, me and my women friends after a while went, what the heck? You know, like what's going on? And a lot of it I felt was the mindset piece about women not sort of seeing themselves as the one that should take command and step on the stage and get everyone to listen to them and say, I'm this much money, or I need, you know, or ask for the offer from the stage in a way that men would. So that became my mission, is to really help people do that, because I had to fight a lot of my personal demons to get there myself. And so I figure I've done the journey, right? So whatever journey you've done, right, that you've gone from not having that very well, but you dug deep into your soul and you faced the dragons and you slayed them and you got the grail at the other end, and now you know how to do it. Those kind of stories, I think, are really powerful.
You know, it's interesting you brought up the female aspect of speakers and, you know, the junk in our heads about, you know, where we're at compared to our male associates. You know, coming out of a corporate environment, that was always a big conversation piece. And then to move out into the entrepreneurial world where we think, oh, you know, we're in control of our own destiny. We have all of our own power. And then getting out into the speaker circuit and realizing, wow, there's like 7 men and a half of a woman, you know, like we would kind of like joke about it, but you know, and again, I don't know that it's intentional, but I asked a question of my male counterparts one time, because I've always had a lot of male friends. And I asked him, I said, what causes you to choose the man for that speaking slot versus a woman for that speaking slot? He goes, I don't even notice what her or his sex is, so to speak. I notice if they show up and ask me to speak. And how well do they hold the stage once they're there? And are they giving value? And can they make a good offer to my audience if that's the framework for the event? So that has absolutely nothing to do whether it's a male or a female. And that hit home, is that as a rule, I think so many women are not asking for the support. They're not asking for the business. And they're not confident to take that stage and to command that stage, as you were saying. So, you know, I think it's really key as women, particularly, whether you're a man or a woman and you don't have confidence or do have confidence, that's your thing you have to figure out. But you have to be willing to ask. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I had a big sort of wake-up call when, you know, like I'm working with men and women, and often, sometimes a lot of them on the same topics. And I'm seeing, you know, so often the man on the topic will be making a lot more money and getting a lot more gigs, often when she's a better speaker too. And that's when it really made me realize, oh, it's got nothing actually. Well, it's partly to do with talent and value, but it's really to do with, okay, he's getting on the phone and he's asking over and over and over again, and he's going and he's saying his fee is this much, and she's like, well, you know, I don't know who to call. I'm sort of waiting for them to call me. And it's sort of like, I'm going to wait to be picked.
Yeah. It's like, are they going to ask me to the dance?
That's right. Whereas men are sort of programmed.
Yes.
No, I got to go get the egg, right?
Yep.
I'm going to send
true.
out my swimmers. They'll get the egg.
And by the way, guilty as charged. You know, I've caught myself in that dance too. So I think it's something it's good to be aware of.
Yeah, you know? It is. Yeah.
It's not a sex-related issue. It is a decision to ask for and be willing to put ourselves in a little bit of an uncomfortable place to make things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're really well known for bringing in humor in your storytelling and really helping people craft an extraordinary story to make a point. And, you know, I've been in many, many, many trainings over the years where, you know, this idea of crafting stories keeps coming up. I'd love it if you would share a couple of nuggets of how can we do a better job of crafting and telling stories that pull people in.
Yeah, well, thanks. That's a good question. And people often ask me, I have this great story, but there's no humor in my presentation. There's nothing light about it. And yet, there they are when I talk to them one-on-one. They're playful and they're fun. And then I see them on stage and they're like, really serious. And so I've got a few techniques for breaking people out of that. One is to look for a story where you are where your best mistake story. Those are always funny, usually. As long as you're not telling this deeply humiliating, thing, but sort of like a lighthearted story. Like, for example, I always tell the story of one of the very first times I was keynote speaker, and I came running on stage because I didn't realize at the time you should really check the stage and see what is, the flooring like and anything. Anyways, I did a complete, just the thing that we all are afraid of. I tripped over a cord as I'm coming up on the stage, and it wasn't just a little, toe tip. It was like I had the water in my hands and the papers, and I let them go, and the water went flying, the papers went flying, and the woman who introduced me got covered in water, and I tried to grab the lectern, and that fell over. Sort of like, Eesh. It was just like this horror, and I really hurt myself, bruised me and everything. There's this big silent hush, in the room. And then, but I was talking on humor, so I stood up and I did a little bow. And then they all laughed because they thought I did it on purpose. So that was really, so, you can tell little stories like that. The time you did the stupid thing. The first time you did anything, of course, are the time you're going to make most mistakes. So to look for those stories, those can be a great way in for humor story. And people forget to do that in their stories. And and the other thing that people forget to do that can really make a story funny all of a sudden is to become different characters in their story. Right? Like practice a few accents and just, become this other person that you're talking to, and just, switch roles really quickly and take on a different accent, start to talk in a British accent for a while and change your, the way you hold your head. And all of a sudden people, they love that. They love that stuff. And it's so easy to do and people forget. Well, that reminds me, another great way to add humorous stories is talk about your pets. Because they're always doing cute and funny things, or cute and funny things your kids did. Or the other one that can be really funny is any interaction where there's some kind of mistake that went on, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that's really fun to do if you want to create a little humor is to do anything that's a little bit improvisational. A lot of speakers I know, they run out and they go, well, I better take a stand-up comedy course. But the problem with the stand-up comedy course is they are often taught by people who do jokes in bars. And you know what kind of humor that is.
Yes, right? A little racy.
A little racy. It could be put-down humor, and you don't want to do put-down humor or blue humor in an organizational setting or an educational setting, right? So you just want to, I find improvisational comedy training is a better training for a speaker, because then you can call stuff out to the audience, get them to call stuff back. Or one of my clients right now, we're trying to get more fun stuff going, and so he has everybody create a little dance that goes with the song. And so every time everyone comes back in, the song's playing and a bunch of people jump on stage and they're all doing little movements and everything. And they're just laughing because they're creating the fun, right? And he doesn't feel like he's that funny a person, but he's getting them to do crazy, silly things. And then everybody laughs, and then they go, you're like the funniest speaker ever. And he's actually not, but they're laughing. Because they're involved.
Well, I mean, I guess what you're saying on some level is, how are you making the audience feel?
Yeah.
Are you bringing them levity? Are you giving them a chuckle? Or are they in this trance? Because you're in a trance. And I've experienced it all. As you know, I'm involved with a lot of different organizations where there's speakers, and there is a point in which you've got to bring levity into the conversation, even if you have the most serious subject on the planet. I think people digest it better and they remember it better if there's humor,
Yeah, there's that old adage, whatever you want people to remember, have humor right near it, and then they'll remember it. Yeah, because when you laugh, it opens up your whole brain, and then it goes into the long-term memory.
Yes.
Just to be neuroscience about it.
Exactly. Well, I was actually thinking of a neuroscientist friend of mine that I just saw speak, and he has a very dense subject matter, but he brings a lot of humor and levity, even very self-depreciating humor, and it keeps people engaged with the talk for sure. And I definitely think they might fall asleep otherwise.
And that brings up a good point that if you can make fun of yourself, just don't make fun of any particular type of person. But that's a good rule of thumb. Just make fun of yourself.
I have seen that backfire in a speaker before, so yes, we want to avoid that.
Yeah.
All right, so humor, storytelling, and getting your message clear. Is there anything else that feels really vital for us to know about really being able to create a great experience for the people who are listening into our talk?
Yeah, well, the thing I think that makes the biggest difference, the biggest shift over for people, is that whole idea that I'm here to serve people. There's that adage I've heard before that really helps. If you're feeling nervous about speaking, chances are you're thinking about yourself. Your attention's here on me and how am I doing and what are people going to think. And it's sort of a narcissistic stance. And I mean, I can go there too. We can all go there. But the shift over is just to go, I'm here to serve. And it doesn't really matter what they think and how perfect it is. It's like, think of somebody that's going to be in your audience that needs something that you are going to share with them today, and just get in your heart about it. I want to help that person. And as soon as you do that, I've just seen it happen. Just all the weird stuff goes away, right? The palpitating heart, or the shaky hand, or the locked jaw that sometimes people get when they're really nervous, and their voice starts to sound weird. It just goes away because they're with, I'm with you. I'm here to help you. And they feel it. And the audience goes, she cares about me. I feel it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like, where's your energy and what is your intention in terms of delivering that message or that talk from the stage?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it can feel like, oh, this is really interesting. This person's just talking to themselves versus getting me involved and making me feel engaged.
Yeah.
So, Carla, what if somebody's not a speaker, but they really understand the value of being able to give presentations or talks or workshops maybe, and then, we have the whole new format of online presentations that can be very captivating for lead generation and getting our message out in the world. Like, somebody wants to get started there, but they're like, I have no idea how to start to create a talk, or I feel kind of overwhelmed by this.
Yeah.
What can we tell them?
Yeah, how to get started is it really helps to have some kind of safe container into which you can just practice and make mistakes and not feel like you have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. So don't set yourself up to kind of get a speaking engagement and then have nothing or nobody to help you prepare. That's the biggest mistake I see, because what happens is you get up on stage and you don't really know what you're doing, and then you're making a public display of incompetence, which can actually, set your business backwards instead of forward, right? It's like, oh, I really liked her in person, and then I saw her at the front of the room, and now I don't really want to work with her anymore, right?
Yeah. You killed the deal.
You just killed the deal. So you're going to speak, but the opposite is true, that if you get up to speak, say you were at a networking event, you talked to one person, two person, maybe you got to speak to three people and make a difference for them, but then, for 3 minutes each. But you get up and speak all of a sudden, and you get to really tell your story and go deep into what you do. You're going to have, a certain percent of that audience all valuing you, referring you, getting you, and it just saves so much time and energy and money if you're ready. So I'm like a big believer in get a coach, obviously go to Toastmasters, go to some little, Rotary Club and go that nobody in the audience is going to know you, and just practice where the stakes are low a bunch of times first before you go in front of what I call a high stakes audience.
Yeah, that is great advice. So come to the table with so much wisdom about this subject. I'm kind of curious for you as you've evolved as a speaker, and particularly as a business owner who is a speaker, right? Because you run a business.
Mm-hmm.
What has been one of your greatest challenges that you had to move through?
Oh, I would say that's
Yeah, the inner game.
the inner game. The inner game, and they all say, oh, it's 80%. Well, for me, I think it's like 99.7%. And so anything that I can get my hands on around mindset, I've just been like this hungry for that. So I learned self-hypnosis. I've learned, how to change my self-image. I've studied everyone and everything about it and created my own systems for it. And of course, when I teach all that to my speakers, they have huge breakthroughs. And before, I never used to teach any mindset stuff, and people just stay in the same loops and the same set points, right? I'm only this big instead of this big. So for me, that was for sure by far the number one thing.
And so on the other side of the table, is there something usually we figure out along the way that is going to make a really big difference in making our business work better?
Yeah.
Have you found that thing that made your business perform better and you figured out how to optimize it?
Well, yes, I would say creating a leveraged business model.
One of my personal favorites.
Yeah, because for years my business model was speaking and training.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if I'm not available, if my back goes out or I'm sick, I don't get any income that month, right? So now I have products and I do group coaching and I have my videos all over the world. So, and just of course what we're able to do now with the online, and there's people from Finland who are my clients and from
I love that.
Indonesia, and I was like, cool, right? Instead of just the people I could travel to. So that is huge. So a leveraged business model is changed everything.
I like to think of it as like it's an expansion model. You can only not only expand your reach and your impact, but you also get to expand your income without having to work as hard in the business. And you've had some great offerings. I'd love if you could share with us in a minute how we can tap into that. But before we do that, I always like to kind of wrap up with our guests by sharing like a mantra or a quote, something that, especially since you're so into the inner game, something that helps you keep that mindset focused on, the best path for you.
Well, my favorite quote, and this is kind of weird, is blessed are we who can laugh at ourselves, for we shall never cease to be amused.
I can see why that's one of your favorite quotes, actually. It makes perfect sense.
If you can laugh at yourself when you're just up against all your stuff and just go, oh, this is me, silly me on my little human journey, fumbling along. And I'm meaning laughing in a compassionate way. That helps me through the day.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, as I shared with you, I recently moved and went from having a pretty decent sized place, 2,400 square foot, to moving into a much smaller place with someone else. And so there's been a lot of things to sort out and figure out. And one of the things that we said is like have to keep finding the levity. Let's keep finding the fun. Let's keep being playful, because otherwise it's going to get really stressful. So I love that that's your quote.
Yeah. And if you can do that in life, you can do that with yourself just before you're about to get on stage and speak. Get yourself in a playful mood, and then you'll naturally be funny, your fun self.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it. So, Carla, you have all kinds of amazing ways that you can help people, from online to in person. But could you share with us maybe a place people could start the journey with you?
Sure. My website is artistryofchange.com, because I help people become artists of change as speakers. So I have some free webinars that you can tap into, free teleseminars, probably 85 blog posts or more. And there's products there that you can look through on humor, storytelling, how to market yourself as a speaker, and coaching programs. So lots of good stuff there.
Yeah, that's a very rich place to go. Go on a little half-hour journey. Go exploring on Carla's site. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom today. And is there anything exciting coming up for you?
Well, I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to be speaking in Europe, so that's very exciting. I'm going to be in the UK and then down to Italy. I love Italy.
Love Italy.
I can be my most outrageous self, and then you're sort of like normal there. So
yeah. I had actually one of my funniest speaking moments on a out of the country gig not because of the language barrier, but because of the syntax and the different like they speak very quickly, and I was trying to explain the spa. And they thought I was saying something completely different. And I had like 300 people just staring at me. Huh? And I said, you guys look lost. And they said, well, why would you want us to, whatever they thought it was. And I said, no, the spa, where you go to get massages? And they all burst out laughing. Because, so I always now when I think of speaking abroad, I'm always like, okay, remember, syntax, slow down.
That would make a great story for you to tell.
I have told that actually several times. It does make it, it's a fun bonding moment because many of us forget, no matter who we're talking to and where they're at, we all have our filters on. Yeah. And so when our filters are in a different mode, we oftentimes will not understand what the other person's saying. And that was just a really hilarious version of that. So, Carla, thanks so much for being here. And, speaking is something that I know many people are either doing already or want to get into. Would love to hear from you as you're listening in today. Are you a speaker? How well do you feel like you're using fun? Give us a little shout out here on the blog at melaniebensonstrick.com. And if you're on iTunes, you can always come over and share with us what you enjoyed about today's episode. And please go check out Carla's very rich and extraordinary set of resources that she has there for you if you're really ready to take on more fun, more humor, and more power in your speeches. All right. Bye, everybody. And thanks again, Carla.
Bye.